what exactly Ruben Amorim did when he first went to Sporting. His first season, he entered mid-season, not very unlike United, but there were a lot of things which went in this, in his first transfer window, which actually shaped the winning culture at Sporting. And this is something which has been corroborated by the head of scouting of the Sporting as well. He told that Amorim not only, even though he was a single person, he changed the culture of Sporting. So we're gonna see what players will fit into our system, the 3-4-3 system, and what exactly Amorim did in the transfer windows of Sporting Lisbon. Hi Aruj, how you been?
Doing very well, and I think it's imperative for us to also understand how the first transfer window for Sporting played out. It should give us some sense of how Amorim targets rebuilding the team, and maybe where there are some parallels we can draw for our club in a case like this. And while things were different for Sporting Lisbon at that point in time, but they were not very different in a few ways as well. Sporting, obviously a team, one of the biggest teams in Portugal, hadn't won the league for a long time, hadn't been winning too many games. I think they lost 10 games in the Premier in their league in the previous season. So it was obviously there are some similarities to what United is also going through. And what Amorim did is nothing less than a complete transformation of the squad. And the transfer window for 2021 was where they sold 7 players, they loaned out 15 players, and 3 players left on free transfers. So, as many as 25 players of the team left. And it was not just that Amorim was selling or getting rid of fringe players.
Mhm.
Players like Wendell, players like Marcos Acuna, they were mainstay of the team in the previous seasons, and this team had finished fourth, not like they were 10th, 12th, or like United 14th, 15th at this stage. So they had done decently well. They were still qualifying for Europe, but Amorim was ruthless. He got rid of close to 25 players and then signed another 13 or 14 players in the squad, and it was a I think
Yeah.
5 of them were first team players which he got in. There were few free transfers that he did. There were a few loan transfers that he got in. So it was a good mix. And at the end of the day, at the end of the summer window, they spent 42 millions, close to 43 million, and
Mhm.
their income for them from the players going out was 51 million. So net
Mhm.
net it was a positive transfer window for them. Obviously we have to keep in mind that at United doing some of this, replicating some of this will not be easy. Obviously there's a United tax on when we are signing players, but
Yeah.
Amrim has hinted in the past that he necessarily doesn't need to go for established players. There's a philosophy that he has in play, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could call this a open heart surgery, something which
Yeah,
Ragnick mentioned. He did say that, you don't need glasses to see that a complete overhaul of system is required.
yeah,
Now, we've seen multiple times in the past that, new managers have come in. Just to prove the manager power, they have had a fallout with one or two players, and a lot of the times player power came on top. But that has been changing in the recent past, wherein we saw Eric Ten Hag was given complete authority when it came to say Ronaldo, say Sancho, and very recently, Amorim has also been given a play in wherein the Rashford and Garnacho saga that we saw. Rashford was very publicly benched against City and for the upcoming 1.5 months before he was let gone for Aston Villa. Of course, Garnacho made his way back into the team, and this is something which we have to learn about Amorim, that he has to be given. Like, we have to have patience with this man because he will build a team across for his system. He
yeah,
will get the right players, and these might not all be established players.
yeah,
There might be a time that we have very less idea about the kind of players we are getting, but here, this is where we have to have faith in the management, have faith in the scouting network. Patrick Dorwood, just for example, not many clubs were on his heel when we went for him, but we've seen in the initial few games that he fits the system. He is, constantly a threat from the left hand side. We know for a fact that he can play on the right hand side as well. Of course, the final delivery is something which is missing from Patrick Dorgu, but that will come with time. That will come with the right coaching.
Yeah,
So we have to understand that even though it's not the same as it won't be as easy as it was in Sporting, that of course we'll get the United tags, but there can be parallels drawn, and we will see which players are under the danger of moving out and which
yeah.
players will be targeted as well.
So, two things that I just wanted to call out before we move forward. One was the kind of players that Sporting signed under Amorim in the first summer
Mm,
transfer window was a mix of experienced player and extremely young players. And they also
mm,
promoted a few players. We'll talk about, who had the most minutes in the squad at in that first year where they won the league after many years. But they signed players like Poro, which are
mm,
proper wing backs who can play that attacking winger slash wing back sort of a role, a systems player. Then they signed players who are press resistant in the midfield and who know Amorim system. So Paulinho, who was their most expensive signing, came from Braga, and obviously at Braga he had worked with Amorim at that point
yeah.
in time, so understood the Amorim system. Uh, Pedro Goncalves came in, and he again was that number 10 winger sort of a player who can play number 10 inside forward sort of a role, and he went on to score 23 goals, highest for Sporting that year. So all these
Mm,
players had a lot of impact, and then there were likes of Matheus Nunes, Nuno
mm,
Mendes, who were picked up from the academy. Their journey was expedited to the first team, and they spent a lot of minutes. And we know Nuno Mendes went to PSG. Matheus Nunes is now at City, so they've gone on to become good
yeah.
players. So I think it was an overall sort of a overhaul that Amorim
Mm.
undertook, and which is what led to this success.
I mean, it bodes well for us as well. No? Seeing this, that he did have some faith in the academy as
Right.
well, and and got a good mix of balance, good mix of experience, which has sometimes lagged in United's recruitment policy. For example,
Correct.
like we have talked about this before, but Rasmus Højlund was brought in. And he had the pressure of the world on him. It took him some time to get off. We're seeing him under the same kind of pressure right now. This pressure would not have been had we had a established number nine before come in before or with Rasmus Højlund, but
Yeah,
that wasn't to be the case.
you need somebody experienced to share minutes with, and right now we don't have that. Right now the only other
Yeah.
option is Chido Obi Martin, who is younger than Hoyland. So you have
Mm,
two players who are in their growth journey at this point in time as football players. You need some of those established players. But quickly talking about the record that Amorim had, or Sporting Lisbon had when Amorim came in. And I think they had their fair share of issues. Out of the 48 games
yeah.
that they had, they lost 17, 10 in the league. They conceded 59 goals in those 48 games and scored 72, which was a big challenge. And if you look at the record in the first full season of Amorim, they only lost 3 games overall, and that too one in the
Wow.
league away. So all 17 home games they were unbeaten. I mean, this is
Wow.
what we know of Old Trafford to be the fortress that it can be. I think we need to return back to those levels. They only conceded 20 goals in the 34 league games and overall 28 goals. So defensive solidarity is what uh, the system will deliver if the right players
Mm.
come in. So I think that is very, very important for us.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think we have a good platform as well. We have made decent defensive, signings in the past 1.5 years. We've got uh, Delit, Euro, and with a good experience of Maguire as well. Uh, of course, I expect Evans to be moved on after the season.
Yeah.
Wing backs, I realize, is a big one in this system, and will have to be, supplemented with the current squad lean. Because all the videos that I've seen of Sporting, the wing backs played such an important role in both attacking as well as. So the first phase and the third phase of Sporting, I realized. In the first phase, all the build-up was between the center backs and the center midfield.
Yeah.
They tried not to, pass it on to the wing backs or put them under pressure. The wing
Which is
backs
why
were
they need to
mostly
be
making
ball playing,
incoherence.
which is why they need to be ball playing defenders and midfielders,
Definitely.
so that they're press resistant, they are able to get through the opposition press. And I think in Premier League's case, they need to be physical as well. I think that becomes very
Definitely.
important.
I think we need the profile of Licha as much as possible because Licha seems to be that perfect center back who
Yeah,
can play with the ball, who is aggressive, who knows when to go forward, when to throw a long ball. Like how many times have we seen Licha do that long ball to
exactly.
a running player, and that is the kind of center back which we need. That is the profile of center back. And he's talked about profiles a lot, right? He's talked about not just the players being available. He said we need certain profile of players, certain personality of players, and
Yeah.
this is the kind of personality we need in the center midfield and the center defense kind of areas.
Exactly, exactly. And you spoke about the fact that how important wingers are. Just look at the players who played the most minutes for Sporting in that season, the first season,
Yeah.
full season under Amorim. The two players who played the right wing back and the left wing back position were Poro, 20 years old, played 37 games, scored 4 goals, and Nuno Mendes, who was 18-year-old, promoted from the academy, played 35 games, scored a goal. So this is what I think he found players either from other clubs or from the academy who can fit into the system, who can be trained as per the system. So I think which is where having your wingers as or wingbacks as young trainable, I think is very key to the system. On left we have already have Dorgu now. I
Mm,
most likely we need a player on the right. There are rumors that it could be Quenda, who has worked
mm,
under Amorim at Sporting. He put Quenda in the first team as a 17-year-old who played the league games, Champions League games day in day out, and I think he could be a great addition. So that is very important. And then if you look at some of the key positions that define the spine of the team, the goalkeeper was an experienced player, 33-year-old, came in on a
yeah,
transfer. Coach, 29 years old, experienced player, scored 7 goals. And this is also we have seen in United so far. The centre backs are getting involved in the goals.
yeah,
Delict, Harry Maguire are getting into goals. Licha, the overlapping centre back role that he was playing before he got injured, he was getting the
yeah.
goals. So I think that is very important. Palinia as a defensive midfielder was key. I think he was groomed as part of the system, and Fidel came
Yeah.
as a signing. So it was the right mix of experienced plus young players that Amorim got in, and I think this is what we might see in the summer transfer window for United as well.
Oh yeah, I look at the profile of these players, and most of these players which we are seeing on the window, have gone on to make it big in the world. Like we see Pedro Porro playing at Tottenham and running down the wing throughout the time and making such good goals. He's scored some bangers out here in
Yeah,
Tottenham. We've seen Joao Paulinho come at Fulham and now playing at Bayern Munich, and really tearing it up. Nuno Mendes is currently at PSG. So yeah, that's a good spine of players to have. I do believe we have certain good players, certain good personalities, but I would also assume that if Amorim is noticing everything well, there would be a big overhaul coming in the summer as well.